Valedictorian has a GPA of 4.63. She's a member of National Honor Society. She's a participant in FCCLA. She is the president of Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Foreign Language Club. She is a letter winner in both soccer and basketball. Please welcome 2003 Valedictorian Kylie Frizzell.
Today is our graduation from high school. Many would tell us that today we earn our independence as we leave the security of school and quite possibly because of our post-graduation plans, our homes. But this is not where we began. As babies, we were not able to survive without the help of our parents. We were not able to feed ourselves, change our diapers, or bathe ourselves. We were completely dependent on our parents. As we began to grow, we began to become a little less dependent on our parents. We learned to walk, so they didn't always have to carry us. We also learned to use forks, so they didn't always have to feed us. And we became potty trained, much to the delight of our parents, so they no longer needed to change our diapers. And then suddenly, we were teenagers in high school, spending late night at friends' house, and becoming less dependent on our parents. I'm sure for all the parents here today, these past years have gone by incredibly fast. Your baby has grown up and you're graduating high school. You have to be questioning, when did this all happen? Whether you graduate today is your first child, middle child, or last child, I'm sure you would agree with the cliche, they grow up so fast, because I've heard it plenty times this past few weeks. After high school, many people tell us that in this stage, we become completely independent, our own person. Whether we have chosen to attend college, join the armed forces, or obtain a full-time job, most people will say that we should be congratulated on earning independence and becoming more independent. And there's truth in that idea. In this next chapter in our lives, we will become less dependent on our parents. And that's the way it ought to be, or otherwise people would not leave their homes. However, there is a difference between becoming less dependent on our parents and becoming completely independent. We should never become completely independent people. In order to have the life we were meant to live, we need to remain fully and completely dependent on the one true God. This is not what our culture tells us. Our culture says that we are our own person, we should do as we wish, and that if we try hard enough, we can achieve anything we desire. The problem with that way of thinking is that if we rely solely on our own power, we are bound to fail. This life can be, at times, unbearable, hard, and broken. However, we were not meant to go through this life alone. In the 6th book of the Old Testament, Joshua chapter 1, verse 5, God says, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." God promises to be ever present. In the good times, in the blessed times, in the stressful times, and in the absolutely heartbreaking times, God is there. When we fall and we don't think we can get back up, God is there and He carries us. There might be some here today who said that they called out to God in the troubling times, but He didn't answer, that He wasn't there. But in my short life, I have learned that God is always there. He may speak to us through a friend, through a song on the radio, through a thought that you just assumed popped in your head, and maybe even if that wasn't the case, He is always present in the Bible. Sometimes we just need to be quiet and listen for the voice that rides on the breeze of the early morning or appears any breathtaking night filled with stars. In the song, "You Raise Me Up," which could be a hymn to God, the song begins, "When I am down, and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me." And that is what we must do, graduates. As great writer of the song said in chapter 46, verse 10, "Be still and know I am God." The creator of the universe has promised that if we are still, we will feel His presence and that He will never leave us. When we become dependent on God, we ask Him to carry us, as if we were babies who could not walk. And even though we have the ability to walk, our legs are burdened and weary. Jesus is the rest we all need. If we choose Him, we become children of God. And when the storms of this life come and try to knock us off our feet, we have the foundation of Jesus under us to give us the hope to stand in the rain and enjoy, because we are not going through the storm alone. It's like the story I once heard about a man named Joe. You see, Joe was walking and fell in a deep, deep hole. He tried to get out, but he could not. He heard a man approaching for help, and he called for help. It was a doctor, and he explained to the doctor his problem. The doctor wrote a prescription, threw it to Joe, walked off, and left Joe in the hole. A while later, another man approached, and it was a minister. Joe explained his problem, and the minister wrote a prayer on a piece of paper, threw it to Joe, and left him in the hole. But then again, another person approached, and it was Joe's friend Tom. And Tom came, and Joe explained his problem. Immediately, Tom jumped in the hole with Joe. And Joe says, "Tom, are you crazy? Now we're both stuck down here." But Tom responded, "I've been down here before, and I can show you the way out." And that is what Jesus did when He came to earth. Instead of telling us what to do to get out of the hole, He showed us the way out of the hole by becoming completely human, yet completely God, and living a perfect life. Jesus demonstrates how to get through the hard times of life and the pain that we feel in this life that will come. W.M. Paul Young wrote, "Pain has a way of clipping our wings and keeping us from being able to fly. And if left unresolved for a very long time, we can forget almost that we were ever created to fly in the first place. True healing only comes from God. We as humans are only given a short view of our circumstances, but God sees the whole grand picture. God is lining up and arranging pieces in our lives that to right now we might not understand." W.M. Paul Young also wrote, "We are lost and looking up from a very deep hole, just to see the superficial. This is not a test we can fail. Love will never condemn us for being lost, but love will not let us stay there alone, even though it will never force us out of our hiding places. When we try to be an independent person, we try to climb out of the hole on our own pure will and own power. But the hole is too deep. We try to climb but continue to fall. Being dependent is giving up the power to receive God's power. When we give ourselves up, we allow God to take control. Then, as we are in the bottom of our pit, Jesus comes, looks down upon us with love and compassion, and extends His hand. He rescues us from our dead self and gives us life. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight." Graduates, this is the last time we will be together. It's time for the next chapter in our lives. I urge us all to not rely on yourselves. It is not worth it. This life is too heavy. We are not meant to go through this life alone. Trust in Jesus, depend on Him. When we fully depend on God, we will receive an overwhelming peace that will come over us, because God calms the storms within us. He's the only one who can give us the peace that passes all understanding. My challenge for all of us here is that if we have been relying on our own power and are too tired to carry on, we need to turn to God. I fully believe that if we study the Word of God in the context it was given, we will discover that His Word is love and it is truth. As we leave high school and wonder if we will be successful in the life that is to come, there's only one way to be assured of success. Refuse to become completely independent people and learn to be completely dependent on the one who loved us enough to die for us. The lives that God has planned for us, if we follow Him, will astound us. Give up and give it all to God. Thank you, guys.